Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out. All right, joining us now from the Museum of Broadcast Communications, the general manager, Aileen Bishop, joins us tonight on Weekend at Gabe's. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing
Good,
good.
good. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We've never talked to anyone from a museum, so this is a first for
What?
the show. I appreciate you giving
I'm,
us.
I'm hitting the siren because I love it. I love it when we do firsts.
Did
And
we
I
just
love
go
it
red
when we do-
alert? Is
Yeah,
that what
yeah,
happened there?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely. I love it when we do first, and I love it when we do exclusive. So you are both a first and an exclusive. So I'm excited about this.
Love that. I gotta say though, I feel like Lesage set the bar really high, and I'm like, I'm kind of boring next to that dude. So Lesage wins today.
We'll get around to ask if you're a beach or mountain person later on. So we'll hold on. But we're so glad that you could join us. There's so much going on over at the Broadcast Communications. First off, your doors are opened after how many months?
Finally, after hitting the button, I like it.
Hitting it.
After 18 months, so we closed March 2020, kind of like everybody else did. We opened for a couple of weekends last summer here and there, and then ultimately said, "What are we doing? This is not real smart. No one, and especially it's summer, like nobody wants to come to a museum. We've just gotten an ounce of freedom. Nobody wants to be inside."
Right.
So we shut it back down. We revamped almost all of our exhibit space. And then we reopened soft opening in the beginning of the month for Reels Open just last Thursday, which coincided with the 2021 Radio Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which is also part of the museum. So it's been like a crazy couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Radio Hall of Fame and why you guys snubbed Weekend Gabe. I think we should dive in there. Talk about the process for that, because I think everybody, when you say museum, people understand the exhibits, right? They understand what's in the physical building, but they don't understand the work that you guys do sort of behind the scenes, the curation that you guys do there. So let us in a little bit about the process of selecting these Hall of Fame finalists.
So I gotta say, most of selecting the Hall of Fame finalists is a secret mystery to me. There's a whole committee of industry professionals, veterans, both executives and on-air talent and engineers and all kinds of people that have been in the radio industry forever. They come up with their short list of nominees. And then from there, that goes to an even larger set of industry professionals. Then they have a chance to vote on some of the categories. And then there's a couple of categories that actually go out for fan voting. So it's always interesting because, there's always going to be people unhappy that, their people didn't get nominated. Like, totally get that. But we're
sitting right here.
It's
I'm furious. That's why you're on. That's like
give them a couple of years. Oh, pandering. I love that.
Yeah, no, this was a gotcha interview. You didn't know that this was a gotcha interview, but that's what we were doing.
See, but there's always people that are like, my guy, and I'm just like, where were you 8 months ago when this process started, when you could have said, hey, can we look at my guy? Like, people always wait until the process is done, I think, without realizing that they had an opportunity to have some input. And I was just like, okay, next year, guys, like, get on this sooner. Like, nothing is a lock going into the year. So this year was interesting because in addition to honoring the 2021 class, we also invited the class of 2020 to the ceremony, since they ended up having a radio ceremony last year, which was still a fantastic listen and everybody was really engaged, but it wasn't the same as being able to, get in a room with your peers, have a couple of drinks, thank all your folks. So I would say about half of the class of 2021 also, or the class of 2020 also came this year to the ceremony. So that was a little extra special. And those folks have waited a long time to get their moment there. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw that Sway Calloway from the 2020 class and Dan Patrick from this year's class were here in the city. Those are two of my favorite radio personalities.
Nice.
So I'm so happy to see that they made it to this this mountaintop of recognition in the Hall of Fame.
Sway was fantastic. He actually brought his daughter on stage with him for his speech and kind of said, like, listen, what we've learned in the last year and a half is that, like, time is precious. And everything I do with intentionality from now on is for my family and for my daughter. So this is so important to me, and it's so important that she be a part of this. And I was like, all right, Sway, I see you. Dan Patrick told the longest stories and was delightful and got really emotional. And then we all cried with him. He brought his kids up on stage too. Great storyteller. He had a lot of kind words for one of his inspirations, who I wouldn't have guessed, which is Stern. Dan Patrick really got his vibe for his show from Howard Stern and has a great deal of admiration from Radio Hall of Famer Howard Stern. So, yeah. Speaking of firsts, and why Gabe's not in the Radio Hall of Fame yet. While I like Twitch recreationally under my own handle, I think that this is the first time the museum has really done anything Twitchy, which is cool because we're kind of in a place where we're always talking about.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I held off as long as I possibly could. And I just got to say, throwing Twitch praise is something I always got to give an air horn to. So I apologize.
Totally, dude. So, we always talk about broadcasts being radio and being television. But more and more, that's digital too. It's Twitch, it's YouTube, it's anybody who's in the street with a cell phone recording something that's happening at that moment and blasting it on social. And as an institution that has been long focused on just TV and radio, that's a place that we're finding ourselves in now, is saying, how do we also embrace digital and continue to celebrate and educate on that, while also giving, because like everybody's a media creator now, right?
Yeah.
Like up to grandma, like everybody who's got a phone in their pocket is probably creating some kind of media. So something that's become really dear to us is, how do we help people to understand how to evaluate the media that they're taking in, media literacy? So you're bombarded with all this stuff. What are the simple questions that people should be asking themselves about the source of that content, the veracity of the content? Is it intended to be educational? Is it intended to be, entertainment? So media literacy, specifically in the streaming space, is a thing that has become more and more part of the museum's mission. So another reason why I'm jazzed to be on Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just aged myself when I said jazz, didn't I? I'm like 4,000 years old. Well, that's just hunky dory.
No, we still jazz hands on this show. It is what it is. I love that you say that, and I think it opens sort of a bold new frontier for you guys on how you answer those questions. I mean, we had Sherman Dilla Thomas from Bronzeville on the show a few months ago, who's creating some of the most incredible Chicago history TikToks that I've seen in my life. I'm not a TikTok fan. I'm not on TikTok, but I will get on TikTok for that man because I love it. How do you find the balance of because obviously a museum is a physical location, and with a reopening and a revamping of the exhibits, how do you find the balance between sort of fun entertainment and that information that you need to get across?
That's a great question, and that's something that we struggle with. But that's the challenge, right? And especially coming out of this pandemic is the additional challenge of kind of defining why museums. Like, why should you leave your house and your Wikipedia and your high-speed internet and travel to a different location with people who may or may not have the Rona? Hopefully not. And then and look at stuff. What is the enticement to that?
Right.
And in a lot of cases, pay money for the privilege of doing that. In our case, like, we're free right now. But that hasn't always been the case, and that's not the case at every museum. So that's a great question, Sam, because we're constantly saying, like, this is important, but how do we make it less words on a wall? How do we make this interactive? How do we make it engaging? And that's a challenge that I don't think ever goes away, right?
Yeah.
The moment that we become complacent on that is the moment when other people start to ask, why museum?
Yeah.
And then maybe, why museum?
The intonation there was really hit me right here, right there.
Well, I think you guys have some really good reasons for people to show up. One is that earlier in October, you guys had a special part of the museum that included work from John Oliver.
We
So I
did.
know you guys.
I've been waiting to
guys
talk
just-
about this with you all week.
Sam's been excited about this.
Well, did either of you have a chance to come in and see it?
I
did not.
No, I have not. It is
learned
up
about it
now.
too late.
It is up now in the museum. You're telling me I can walk in for free and see John Oliver's rat erotica on the wall?
So first, we prefer to say special friends. and no, sadly, the art left us last week. It's moved on to the American Museum of, oh God, I forgot what they're called. An art museum, I think, in Baltimore. So we only had it for a couple of weeks. It was cool though. So you guys may or may not have seen, but last fall, it feels like 1,000 years ago. I think it was last fall. John Oliver kind of put out a call saying, you know, a third of small museums are simply not going to make it. And museums are having to resort to really creative things to sustain revenue at this point. And you guys probably all saw the penguins at the shed, like out walking around and looking stuff. So his call was, I have this weird, esoteric, did I say weird art? Send me a letter, tell me why. You should have this art, and I will put it on tour and loan it to you for a couple of weeks. So being the broadcast museum, we actually submitted a video. My executive director was so game. Like, she was just like, just point me in a direction, put me in a costume, tell me what to do. So I wrote, I shot, I edited, I did all the things that I've never done before, and she did exactly what I asked her to do without complaint, and we ended up with just a wild video, and they loved it, and they called and said, you guys need to have this art. So it was 3 pieces. It was the special rat friends. It was the absence of Larry Kudlow, which was ties that his wife Judith painted. And then Wendy Williams eating a lamb chop, which actually they sent over little plaques to go with the art to hang on the wall, like in a gallery or museum. And this said, paint on plywood, artist unknown. And it was a giant sheet of plywood. I wept when we opened the box. It was even more spectacular than I could have imagined. You know, we were a little bit concerned because the special rat friends, they're very, very close friends. One might say intimate.
One might say that.
One might say, and they were surrounded by various accoutrements that a special rat friend might have if they were having a very special rat friend evening. And we were concerned how people would react to that. In one part of my brain is like, if people are coming to see this, they know what they're getting, right? Like, no surprises. But the other side was like, there's people that are coming to the museum because we've reopened and they want to see our new exhibit, A Century Radio. And they're going to stumble on this and be like, what the hell? So it was the cutest thing when they sent us the art. It had come from the Judy Garland Museum in Minnesota. And in a discreet manila envelope in the really well packaged rat painting was an envelope that just said rat shorts. And they were cardboard cutout black construction paper shorts that you could tape over the rat's intimate bits. Because if you looked closely enough, you realized that these rats were really happy to see each other. And so we struggled with shorts, no shorts until someone complains. What are we doing here? And we went the full no shorts route. The only time that anyone ever said anything was actually we had a photographer in from a newspaper that were taking pictures, and he said, let me take some with the shorts and without the shorts, just in case for my editor. And I said, dude, that makes total sense. But yeah, this little envelope that we weren't expecting that said rat shorts.
I love John Oliver's show because it feels like they think of everything. You know, like that encapsulates sort of everything that show has come to mean for me, for sure.
And the folks at HBO were great. We got a small monetary prize to go with it, which was fantastic. The even better part, I think, is that they also make a $10,000 donation to the Greater Chicago Food Depository.
And I was gonna bring that up as well. That was huge because I was literally watching that episode and thinking of museums just like yours, and I was like, wouldn't it be awesome to get $10,000 to the Chicago Food Depository? Thank you for doing the work and shooting and editing video that you've never done before. That's amazing.
We loved it, and we were so thrilled to partner with them. Like, we could have some fun, we could get a little money, and we could help, folks in food insecure areas. Like, what better situation? Like, it was just a win for everybody and a lot of fun. So I hope that folks go see the art at their other two stops. I believe you can see the full schedule at johnoliverhasyourerotica.com.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
But yeah, I'm sorry you guys missed it. It was pretty trippy and pretty cool.
Well, I want you to be able to plug the new exhibit, A Century of Radio, that just opened up late last week on the 28th. So I'll talk a little bit about what that exhibit encompasses.
Sure. So it's actually sort of a walk through the first 100 years of commercial radio. So commercial radio began November. Wow, like almost now. 2020. We're a year late, pandemic. Even though radio technology had been around for a good chunk of years prior, actual commercial radio in a radio station started then. So we really kind of look at that pre-commercial radio area and then go sort of through a decade's walk. And we focus on the business of radio, the science, the culture, who radio served, who got left behind by radio, the social changes and social impacts of radio. So sort of all of those different periods through that 100-year stretch. So we've got an online timeline component where people can just scroll through hundreds of entries of important happenings in the last 100 years. And then we've got, artifacts and panels to walk through surrounding our little 50s living room space where folks would sit around and listen to the radio instead of, watch TV like we do now. And then we still have... Yep, we still have the Chicago Gallery of Television up. So for folks that have missed their old friends Bozo and Svengoolie, Garfield Goose, Ray Rayner.
I 100% have. So.
Still up there. And then we also have a small exhibit for media literacy and for the Great Debates, which really examines the impact of media on presidential politics, starting with Kennedy-Nixon, which was the first televised presidential debate. Right. And then the Radio Hall of Fame, which now has... This year, we just crested 300 inductees. So it's really just sort of a panorama of spectacular people with spectacular accomplishments in radio. And not just on their talent, but innovators, industry executives, folks from sort of all different breadths of the industry.
I got two names for you. Cheryl Ray Stout and Weekend Gabe. Just saying. You're going to be looking...
Weekend Gabe.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to write that down. Who is that?
Monday through Friday, he actually goes by Weekday Gabe, which is it does make it a little bit confusing.
That's a whole different category for people with two different names.
Well, he can be the first inductee at the very least. But we are approaching the end of the interview, and I want to get to the meat and potatoes of the situation. So,
hit me.
What is it, Aileen? Mountains or the beach?
It is the beach without the sand. I'm a water person.
So is it like a snorkeling would be preferable to let's say laying out on the beach and going in the water?
But a lake, a stream, a pond, a river, the ocean, just no sand.
No sand.
You
with you.
It's an Anakin thing.
Yeah. We love it. We love it.
Last question before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Being that you're the general manager of the Museum of Broadcast Communications,
I'm actually the deputy director.
Deputy director. We don't want to shortchange
Sounds fancy,
you.
right?
Yeah, that's way more official. I got to be
I'm still waiting for my badge.
It sounds like a six-figure job. That's what it sounds like. But how much radio do you listen to during the course of the week, or are you just tuned into like podcasts and sort of other on-demand services? How do you balance your time of listening?
So I used to listen to a lot of radio, and then I moved closer to work, like really close to work. And without having that CTA time, I don't listen to anything nearly as much as I used to, which is like, it's great to be really close to work, but I'm a little sad I miss it a little bit.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I miss it too, just a little bit. I walked to the grocery store today. I could have, ridden my bike, could have done anything, but it was because I needed that walk time to listen to the things,
Yep. I feel that.
Aileen, thank you so much for giving us your time. The executive director of the Museum of Broadcast Communications, Aileen Bishop, joining us tonight on Weekend at Gabe's. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to get out to the museum before the end of the year. I really look forward to it.
Come out and see us. I will probably be there. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Good times.
I appreciate you so much. Good night. Aileen Bishop joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's, the first for the museum to appear on Twitch. So we're
matter of fact, you know what? We're looking at you, Field Museum. Where's your executive director? Why do they not want to come talk to us? We're looking at you, Shed Aquarium Penguins. Why are you not coming on the show to talk to us? We're looking at you, Museum of Science and Industry. Southside Stand Up. You know what I'm saying?
I need
what's
them
going
to
on,
like
Chicago?
Well, where's the Penguin Hall of Fame? Where's the Dinosaur Hall of Fame? I need that.
Yeah. They're not even. It's like they don't want to be on the show, Gabe. You know what I mean? It's like they don't want to. And that is what I can't stand for. But shout out to Aileen. Shout out to the Museum of Broadcast Communications and the Radio Hall of Fame. We hope to have Weekend Gabe in there very, very soon. And at the very least, we hope to see our good friend Cheryl Ray Stout on there in the very near future.
She definitely deserves to be in. If they do the fan vote and I have a chance to vote, guess what? I'm punching twice for her. I'll figure out a way to do it too.
7 times. Forget about it.
But today was incredibly fun. I'm so glad that Lesage and Aileen both joined us. It was a really fun night. A lot of diversity in our guests tonight. So you saw that here on Weekend at Gabe's. Let's fast forward to Thursday. Breaking news, Sam. Guess who's going to be joining us? Guess who's going to be joining us?
Ooh.
Rocky Fresh is confirmed for Thursday night. It was a long, tedious process. And I hope everyone who's watching appreciates the hard work behind the scenes to pull this off. So he's been very incommunicado since he left Maybach Music. So I don't know if we're the first people to really talk to him, but I don't think many people have grabbed his ear and gotten the microphone in front of his face. So I'm really excited about this.
Hell yeah! It's gonna be a big show.
And then the Real Ones podcast, Ben Mosgod is going to be joining us as well.
Ben Moscow from the Real Ones podcast is going to come on and talk about their show and what they're doing over there. Something very similar to us, but they're a little bit more music focused, I should say. We do a little bit of everything, Gabe, here on this show. We do art, we do music, we do broadcast communications, we do Radio Hall of Fame. Dan Patrick, holla at me. Let's get you on the show. Let's talk some sports. We talk some sports sometimes. So yeah, it's gonna be a huge show. Tune in Thursday night, big event, and we will be back next Tuesday with Asar. So, friend of Ro Marsalis, if you haven't watched the Ro Marsalis interview, definitely go check that out. And yeah, hopefully it'll be a big week next week too.
Man, it's shaping up. Woo! We got some heavy hitters coming up on the show. Tell a friend, as we always say. All right, that's gonna be our time here on Weekend at Gabe's. Don't forget to give us a follow at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, at the Real Sam Crane. Tell a friend, and don't forget to support. What is it? Jesus. Share, support, show love.
My lord. It's only Tuesday, Gabe. Get the heck out of here.
We're out. Enjoy your evening. Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.